Welcome back. In the last session, I told you a little about myself and my journey. In this section, I'll give you an overview of the Cognitive Weight Control Program, and then we'll go into more detail in later sessions. So, let's get down to it. The first thing I'm going to tell you is something you probably already know. If you're like me, when it comes to food, despite your best intentions, you make lousy, terrible, counterproductive decisions. In addition to that, when it comes to what you eat, you're just not that honest. You may be the most honorable, upstanding, ethical, wonderful person in the world, in every other way. But when it comes to what you eat, you can't be trusted. At least that's true of me, and I strongly suspect it's true of you too. My honesty and integrity are actually very important to me. It's unlikely you'd be able to impugn me in those areas without me wanting to bust your chops. But when it comes to what I eat, I have to admit, I'm a liar and a cheat. In eating situations, you make rotten decisions. That may seem obvious, but it also points to the solution. As much as possible, you need to avoid making eating decisions. Minimize the number of situations in which you have to make a decision about what to eat, and when you do have to make eating decisions, do it at a time and place that is not when and where you'll eat the food. In the first session, I talked about the fact that your autopilot, the mechanism that is supposed to tell you when, what, and how much to eat, doesn't work. Although you may not have thought of it in those terms, you probably already knew that. You cannot now, and probably never will be able to go on autopilot and give your body free rein to eat whatever's available and stop when it's had enough. You will always have to exert cognitive control over your eating decisions. Your brain has to figure it out based on hard data. The reason that diet programs like Jenny Craig can help you lose weight is that you don't have to make any decisions. Somebody else has decided exactly what you will eat and when you will eat it. All you have to do is stick to it and figure out how to pay for it. The problem is, it's a diet. There's never any thought that you'll continue to eat Jenny Craig meals forever. At some point, you run out of money, or get sick of the food, or have lost the weight, or you decide that you've solved the problem and can now go back to letting your body decide on its own what to eat. But, of course, you haven't solved the problem, and you can't let your body decide on its own, so once again, you start letting your body make its own lousy food decisions, and the weight comes back. Once when I was in college, I went on a TV dinner diet. I really did. Every night for dinner, I ate a large diet soda and whatever TV dinner I was in the mood for. That's all I ever ate for dinner. Nutritionally, it was a train wreck, but it was cheap, and in a sense, it worked. I lost weight because I didn't have to decide how much to eat. But of course, you can't continue to eat TV dinners forever, or at least I couldn't. So when I went back to regular food, I turned my body loose to start making rotten decisions again. And we all know where that led. I gained the weight back. So let's look at the pillars of the Cognitive Weight Control Program. They are what finally enabled me to lose the weight and keep it off, based on achieving cognitive control over my eating, in a way that was easy enough I could stay on it forever. We'll talk about each of these pillars in detail in subsequent sessions, but here's the overview. First, determine how many calories you can eat each day. We'll talk about how to do that in the next session. This number may change as you get a clearer understanding of how many calories your body needs and as you lose the weight. Allocate your daily calories to meals. We'll also talk in more detail about how to do that. But you need to divide your calorie allocation between breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. And you need to avoid eating between meals. Create standard meals. You need to create predefined meals that you like that fit within your calorie allotment for each meal. Determine exactly what foods and what amounts are part of each meal. Create as many standard meals as you like, but in most cases, just pick which standard meal you want, prepare it as indicated, and eat it without any decisions except deciding which standard meal to have. It's like picking from a restaurant menu. In situations where you can't eat a standard meal, try to plan what you'll eat in advance before you get into the eating situation. Count and measure everything exactly and honestly. Don't guess, don't improvise, don't embellish. Just measure out what your standard meal or your planned meal includes in the amount that you planned for, cook it if needed, and eat it. And as I said, don't eat between meals. Weigh yourself every day and record your weight. We'll talk about this later, but it's really important that you do it and that you evaluate your results properly. Exercise on most days. I can hear you groaning from here, but this won't work without it. And we'll talk about how to exercise in ways you may actually come to enjoy. So that's it. Do those 6 things and you can lose as much weight as you want and keep it off for the rest of your life. I hope you won't say, okay, I got it, and not watch the rest of the sessions, because this is one of those times when the devil is in the details. I have a lot more to say about each of these pillars, but this is the basic framework. It's not rocket science or even revolutionary, but like I said, the details are what make it work. So here's the limerick for this session, as told to me by a friend. Your stomach's protruding, my dear. That you need a foundation is clear. But the girdle she bought was a little too taut, and the top rolled clear down to her rear. Remember, this is a day of your life. Enjoy it. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this channel. When enough people do that, it increases the likelihood that this channel will show up when people do searches in YouTube or Google about eating programs. So I'll see you next time when we'll talk about figuring out how many calories you can eat each day.